Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the last video of this saga, how to build a native cross-platform application from scratch using native languages with no shortcuts. The last end-to-end test that we have to implement is wishlist end-to-end test. We need this splash screen robot, auth robot, products, and wishlist robot. The first test that we have to do is to make sure that the user can remove and add the products to the wishlist. As usual, we have to launch the application and initialize and create the instances of the needed robots. Next, we have to log in the user as we have done earlier. Let's copy it from the authentication end-to-end test as we have done here. And we have to use the wishlist robot has removed, okay, we have a typo here, has removed and added product to wishlist. Should be true. That's pretty much it for this test. Let's run the test. For some reason, every time you add a test to the list, it fails to wait for the application to appear. Gonna close this. Let's run the test once again. I don't know if you have noticed, you can see the snack bar message telling user welcome back, which is not good. I'm gonna fix it later on once we run the application using real API calls. Let's make the other assertion or the other scenario. However, the test passed. Now we have to make sure that the user can navigate to the wishlist manager screen and delete the target product. I'm gonna copy the whole thing. Now we have to open the user menu. Next, we have to use the wishlist robot and call has deleted products from authenticated user wishlist. Should be true. And I don't think that we need the product robot here. I'm gonna delete the product robot. That's pretty much it. Let's run the test. Very nice, the test passed. Now we have one last test to do under the main end-to-end test, which is for the theme switch. We need to make sure that the authenticated user can switch the dark theme on and off. We need to add the auth robot. As we have done earlier, I'm gonna copy the same thing from launch application to authenticating the user and clicking on the user menu. We don't need the wishlist. And we have to use the authentication robot and call user has switched to dark theme and should be true. And that's all. Let's run the test. Very nice, and test passed, which is good. I think that's pretty much it. You got the idea how to conduct end-to-end tests if you want to do your own or other end-to-end tests for that matter, using those robots that you have implemented, or to add basically another functionality to your robot class. As you can see here, after using the robot pattern, your test end-to-end test is readable, maintainable, and scalable, and everyone can understand what you're doing here. I think it's time to run the application and basically fix all the issues that we haven't detected yet under end-to-end test. As you can see here, I have run all tests at once and no interference. You can't do this for the rest of the tests. Now let's switch to the Pocket Goods and let's run the application. As usual, make sure you have run PHP artisan serve and you have set the correct IP address, as well as MySQL server and PHP server are up and running. Right, I'm right now under dark theme. We have to fix, first of all, this particular section. It should be under dark theme. All right, we have the list of products. Let's check the pagination. And right off the bat, we have to change this particular section. All right. The loading indicator is not handled correctly when it comes to theming. I think that you have to override the dependency properties of the skeleton that we have used here. Let's go to the designer. We need to override those properties to use the dynamic colors. And let's define the needed dependency properties. We need to define the color start. I'm going to close the application. And let's define the color middle and the color end. Now for the card skeleton, we have to observe here the theme changed. Let's create this method. And whenever the card skeleton is ready, we have to apply the new colors. And let's create on loaded. Now whenever this component is ready, we're going to apply the new colors. Let's create this function. We have to refresh basically the colors by doing theme switcher, get brush from theme, and you have to pass here the basically the color or the key, which is color start, and the default brush, let's say for example gray. All right, so we have used this get brush from theme. I'm gonna add another one that will return color. Let's try to get the resource from the application and currents and try find resource. And we have to convert this resource to color. If the resource is of type color, we have to return the resource. Otherwise, it's stored under the brush value. Can access the color by doing return and brush.color. Otherwise, we have just to return the default color. And because it's nullable value, let's return a default value transparent. Let's come back to the code behind. And here we have to do theme switcher, get color from theme. Now we have to define here under the design, dedicated color for color start, and for the default, light gray, for example. With the same manner, going to define color middle and the color end. Now on theme change, we have to use the dispatcher and invoke, and we have to call apply colors. Let's check if we have defined those colors. Let's check the light theme. Yeah, we have defined the color start and the color middle and color end. We don't have to define those under the design section of our card skeleton. Now we have to bind dependency properties to card skeleton. And that's pretty much it. Let's try to run the application. Hopefully it's gonna do the trick. All right, very good. Okay, let's navigate, for example, to this product. We have actually the same thing here. We need to change it. Under the loading indicator, let's go to the design and see what we have done. And we have used, again, skeleton loader. It has to be the same thing, actually. I'm going to copy this. And here, I will do the same thing for the rest. Or you know what? This is a stupid idea, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to close the application. Let's try to handle everything here inside skeleton. When loaded, we're going to do the same thing that we have done earlier from the card skeleton. Let's call this apply colors. I'm going to copy the implementation and I'm going to paste it here. And on loaded, I'm going to do apply colors. And let's observe the theme change. I'm going to copy this. I think it's going to work. And let's try to delete this initially from the card skeleton. It's going to be a very simple component. Now let's come back to the design of this particular component and let's delete this. Now let's come back to the product details screen, loader. All right, here we go. All right, very nice. And as you can see here, we have navigated to the latest screen, which is good. Now let's try to click on this Add to Wishlist. Please log in to proceed. Let's click on the breadcrumb. All right, let's check the login. This is a window. Look, I'm very sorry. My computer is horrible. It's not that performant. This is very nice actually when it comes to this label animation under, I don't know, perhaps under WPF, the default one for the material design WPF. There is no background here. That's why I have implemented this, my own custom text field. I think it's Jack or something, Jack at email. It's not the correct credentials. All right, anyway, it doesn't matter actually. Let's try to create this user, register now. Register. We have provided the correct credentials. Let's log in. Okay, what I want to do here, we have seen in the previous end-to-end test that after adding or removing the products from wishlist, we still have the old snack bar message. All right. This is exactly what we have seen in the end-to-end test. Therefore, we have to fix this. All right, let's come back to the login form view model. And we have to add, as we have done in the main section or main view model, let's add a flag that's going to be saved in memory. That's going to serve basically the one-time event. Let's call it auth success trigger or triggered flag. And underneath, in login section, here we have to add it. I'm going to check if the user is not null. And we haven't triggered this, or we haven't changed this flag to true. Now we have to trigger the event on logged in and change the auth success triggered flag to true. All right, you can add actually another flag for the error. If the flag has not been triggered yet, I'm gonna call this and change the flag auth error triggered to true. Make sure it is set false by default. That's pretty much it. One thing that I have noticed actually, which is the label under the text input. Let's switch back to the text field. We have just to change the margin or the padding. All right, for the label, the padding should be 0.4 instead 0 and 4. That was a typo. Let's run again the application and see if we have any other things that we have to update. All right, let's try to log in. All right, now the moment of truth. Let's go to, all right, I'm going to toggle this. The product has been removed from wishlist. We no longer have a snack bar message, welcome username. Right now, let's try to go to the wishlist manager. Let's try to delete something. The product has been removed from your wishlist. Let's add this one. And let's remove it from the wishlist. We have to change something here product has been removed from wishlist. All right, let's come back to the main window. Let's try to look for the screen section of wishlist manager screen. All right, let's go to the view model. The error occurs when we delete an item. Let's try to debug this or to show the message to the console. Let's run the application. And I have noticed another inconsistency when it comes to the theme toggle for the background. I'm going to change this accordingly. All right, let's navigate to the home screen. Let's add 3 products to the wish list. Let's navigate to the wish list manager. Delete this. Let's take a look on the error log. First of all, I'm going to stop the application. Dialog host is now open. All right, now we know for sure what is the problem. Let's come back to the dialog controller. I think this function can throw an exception. Therefore, I'm going to copy this and I will change the name of this function close to try close instead. I'm going to wrap this with try catch, call this. And for the catch section, we're not going to do anything. Well, let's rename this to something like try close. All right. Before running the application though, let's come back to the theme toggle before I forget, or theme switch. Let's check the design for the thumb background. You can change this dynamically, if you will, as we have done earlier. Onloaded, I'm going to create onloaded, and on theme changed. We're going to use with the same manner the dispatcher to change the colors. Let's call this method apply background color. Let's create this method yet to be implemented, and let's create the other method for onloaded. Now for onloaded, it's going to be the same thing as we have done earlier in skeleton loader. Let's try to get the background, and inside onloaded, we're going to apply background color as well. Now we have to implement the apply background color. Now the trick is we have to find basically the track elements under the template. All right. Since we are not able to add here dynamic resource under control template, we have to do it in the code behind. We have to look for this particular element using the template and then try to find this element by name. First of all, let's check if this part toggle button to access basically the template and to find the name, which is track. This name belongs to part toggle button. It has to be of type border, and let's call it thumb border. It's not thumb border actually, it has to be track border. We have to change the color from the theme switcher and get brush from resource. We're going to use the surface as a brush, and for the default it has to be white, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to change this before I forget to track border. I think that's all. I don't think that we have to do another thing in the application. And that's gonna wrap up our saga for this tutorial. If you are not satisfied with the color, you can change it to something else. All right, let's log in first. Now we have the track set as we have done earlier. This is the occasion actually to switch to live theme. This is the live theme. And we can see even the progress indicator under the detail switch to the correct background. All right, so we are not interested in this actually. Let's look for the thumb. All right. It has been set correctly. Let's open again the menu and we have set it correctly. This is very nice. Now for the other problem when it comes to switching or closing the dialog, I'm gonna add 2 or 3 more items to test with. Let's try to delete this. All right, we don't have the error as before. Let's delete this as well. Let's try to empty all the wish lists. It's working fine. We don't have that exception of type WPF material design exception. There is no products in your wish list. All right, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna add I'm gonna show you guys another scenario actually. If for some reason the application crashes, it has to switch back to the latest visited screen as we have said earlier. Let's go back to which is the most critical one. It's the private screen. Okay, we have an error. Let's refresh the page. All right, this is the private page. To simulate this, actually, I'm going to switch to the IDE and I will close the application from here, not from the application. I'm going to close the application to stop debugging, all right? Now, it's going to simulate basically like the application has crashed for some reason, and let's see if this session is still active. If we have lost this session, it's going to give us the page 401. All right, we still have this session, and we have navigated to the latest private route, which is very good. One of the bugs that we have not talked about, we have to attach the search pagination or search functionality to a command instead of an event. We have to create a relay command and we have to pass as a parameter the page. All right, let's do this. I'm going to keep that event initially and I'm going to delete it afterward, after running all tests and whatnot. And let's call it on search products. Let's comment this. It's going to take integer and I'm going to copy basically the implementation of that particular function on search products. Let's comment this and the page should not be null. And we have to protect it as we have done earlier under on get product. This is optional. I'm going to clear the search query and we have to invoke the use case. However, instead of this state, I'm going to do page and value. All right. Right now, we are done with the view model. Let's come back. We're going to test this later on. Now what we have to do under the main window, I'm going to do the same thing that we have done here. All right. Let's check the implementation of the home screen. We're not going to hoist anything here. However, in the search results screen, we have hoisted all the properties. On search click, I'm going to check the view model and whatnot. And instead of this, we don't have to call the event. We're going to call directly the command. Let's come back to the on event. Instead of this, search product command and execute. And we have to pass here, instead of search query, it has to be the page, search products. I don't think that we have declared here a page for search products. Let's add here page. We have to do here page, and that's it. All right, so what we have to do here, we're gonna do the same thing as the home screen. We have to add all those kind of bindings. All right, let's come back to the main window. We need to check if we have the auth view model, main view model, and all the needed view models. Instead of attaching the command property to navigate to next screen, we have to attach it using bindings. Now on loaded, we're going to trigger the event, search products, and pass in one as an argument as initial page. Pagination trigger to the product view model search products command, and the authenticated user, and to toggle the theme on and off from the wishlist. I think that's it. Before moving forward, let's go ahead and run the test and the product view model test. All right, so just to simulate basically this kind of scenario in my Laravel project, I have updated this, just a normal pagination, all right, using the same implementation that we have done under the pagination or the home screen to omit basically the search query and the filtering of the data, all right? Okay, with that being said, let's run the application. We have to be able to trigger or to paginate. Okay, this is the home screen. Let's wait for a while. Now I'm going to type whatever here. I'm going to click on search. We have the products, all right? Let's check if we do have some binding issues. Those binding issues are not related to our screen, which is good. Let's try to paginate. Now we are under the home screen. Let's try to change this particular page, and you have to have only 3 items. However, in the search results screen, to make sure that we are paginating correctly and passing the correct pages as an argument, let's come back to the code. First of all, I'm going to stop the application. We should see here 2 for the page number 2. We have the second page. The problem here, we haven't passed the query page. We have to come back to the products, repository implementation. This is a real problem, actually. I don't know why I keep doing the same error over and over again. Where is the API call? We had to do this. I'm going to copy the same thing. This is search product. All right. You see what I'm talking about? It shouldn't be like this. Now it's going to work. All right. Right now, let's run the application and it should give us exactly the same results under home screen. That's why it's going to give us always the page number 1. It will never navigate to page number 2. For the navigation section under the screen, it's working fine. However, for the backend, we haven't passed the correct query to the URL. Type here S and let's navigate to the screen. This is the first page. Here we go. This is the second page. One thing that I have to do, which is just to make sure that everything is linked correctly, I'm going to log in. All right, let's navigate to search results screen and let's try to add some stuff here. At least we have the authenticated user. I'm going to add this watch. All right, the product is added to our wishlist. Let's navigate to the wishlist manager screen. Okay, that's very nice. Let's try to refactor our code. Let's delete the unnecessary stuff here. Let's try to run all the end-to-end tests. I think that's pretty much it. If you see some inconsistencies or other bugs, it's not, again, the scope of this tutorial. Most importantly is our application has been tested. At the end of the day, it's usable. I'm going to log out. And we have no longer the ability to add or remove the item from wishlist or to wishlist. All right, so I'm going to close the application and that's going to conclude our tutorial. We have officially finished implementing the application and all the 4 applications. All right, as a takeaway, in C# and WPF landscape, The development experience is notably intuitive, especially for creating performant user experiences. A crucial insight here is the handling of state. While state hoisting can be beneficial, it's not ideal for large components with numerous dependency properties. To address this, we have introduced a binding mechanism that explicitly links these properties to the appropriate view model states. When it comes to web development, leveraging Vue tree ensures exceptional performance, while Vuetify allows for highly customizable components. On the backend, Laravel's API provides robust, comprehensive framework. For testing, Cypress shines with its robust pattern, making end-to-end tests smooth and reliable. In the Kotlin ecosystem, the power of modularity combined with Jetpack Compose offers an unparalleled development experience, especially for UI testing, as it allows scrolling to elements effortlessly. On the iOS side, Swift offers smooth development journey with minimal dependencies, thanks to GRDB for relational data management and Swinject for dependency injection. However, testing in Swift does have its limitations, quite frankly, particularly with UI interactions like scrolling and asserting that particular element exists. In general, while the web and Kotlin versions require a bit more dependency management, the Swift experience by far remains streamlined and efficient. Overall, each technology brings its own strengths, and mastering them all makes for a truly well-rounded skill set. And in real-life scenario, as a freelancer, the paycheck is gonna be thick. This reason on its own a real motivation. And if you have made it this far, you are truly a legend. It's been a pleasure sharing with you guys all my knowledge, and happy coding!